What if oxygen on Earth suddenly doubled? If we know is action was recreation, and with it also do. If the oxygen concentration in Earth's atmosphere suddenly doubled, the world would not become fresher or healthier, it would transform into a planet that is strange, dangerous, and breathtaking in the most unsettling way. In the very first moments, the air would feel sharp. Humans would inhale and instantly sense lighter lungs, clearer minds, and bodies surging with sudden energy. But that pleasant feeling would last only seconds. The human heart would begin beating faster, blood would circulate more aggressively, and the brain would feel overstimulated. Too much oxygen forces cells into overdrive. Healthy people would feel a hot rush through their veins, while anyone with medical vulnerabilities would feel their heart strain. Across Earth's surface, plants would react immediately. They do not breathe oxygen the same way humans do, but a high oxygen environment would trigger accelerated growth, deeper green pigments, and denser leaves. In dense forests, vegetation would explode with life. Canopies would thicken so tightly that sunlight could barely reach the ground. The most dramatic transformation, however, would appear in insects. During the Paleozoic era, when oxygen levels were much higher, insects grew to sizes humans today can hardly imagine. With double oxygen, modern insects would begin enlarging again. A dragonfly could reach a wingspan of 30 centimeters. Ants might grow as large as a human fist. Predatory species such as spiders, scorpions, or wasps would become far stronger, turning human interactions with insects into dangerous encounters. But the greatest threat from double oxygen is fire. Flames would not simply burn, they would detonate. A small spark from an electrical switch, a match, or a lightning strike would ignite massive fire pillars, spreading faster than any firefighting force could control. Rainforests that once resisted burning would erupt in seconds from the smallest ember. In cities, everyday materials like wood, cloth, and plastic would ignite violently with just a tiny source of heat. Oxygen-rich air would also accelerate oxidation. Steel bridges, skyscrapers, power poles all would rust within hours to days. Industries relying on metal infrastructure would collapse. Large structures would lose their strength rapidly, requiring constant replacement. Humans could not adapt easily. Excess oxygen would cause oxygen toxicity, damaging tissues, triggering migraines, dizziness, and seizures with prolonged exposure. Children and the elderly would be affected most severely. Their hearts would struggle to regulate themselves in the oxygen-heavy atmosphere. In the ocean, fish and marine species would suffer. Altered gas ratios in water would suffocate some species while causing explosive growth in others. Algae would bloom uncontrollably, creating green patches stretching across kilometers, choking the oxygen from deeper waters. On land, the sky would change color. High oxygen makes sunlight scatter more intensely, turning the sky a deeper, sharper blue. At night, atmospheric fires would illuminate clouds with orange and crimson, creating a constant twilight glow. Cities filled with artificial lights would produce enormous halos as oxygen amplifies the scattering of light. Old-growth forests would face extinction within years. One lightning strike could ignite entire regions, burning them to blackened wastelands. Human civilization would be forced to redesign everything, buildings would require extreme fireproofing, electrical systems would need sealed enclosures. Any device capable of producing sparks would become restricted technology. People would migrate into controlled air zones, dome cities lowering oxygen back to safe levels. Large mammals would begin to suffer. Their hearts would overwork, pushing some species toward extinction in just a few years. Smaller mammals like rodents or bats would thrive, becoming faster, stronger, and more dominant in the ecosystem. In this environment, survival would depend on adaptation. Those who evolve or engineer protective living spaces would endure, those who cannot would vanish. And at last, as the world burns brighter than ever, with forests collapsing and metal oxidizing like paper in flame, humanity would understand Oxygen is not merely the fuel of life, it is also the spark that can end everything if it grows beyond what the planet can bear. Stay curious. See you in the next story.